Jamel President grew up less than a mile from the College of Charleston and graduated from Burke High School. He was as hard-nosed and spirited as any player I have ever coached. On the defensive end, he always guarded our opponent's best scorer. His jump shot was picture perfect, and he iced many games with his foul shots. In fact, in his senior year, he ranked 4th nationally from the foul stripe. He played in the backcourt with Anthony Johnson, and they made a magnificent duo. In an NCAA game against Stanford at the United Center in Chicago, Jamel was voted Chevrolet Player of the Game. After graduation from the college, Jamel has given so much back to the community. He presents to youngsters seminars in SAT taking and academics, and conducts clinics and camps teaching the ABCs of basketball. He is also president and CEO of the DAE Foundation. Jamel, congratulations, and a big thanks for your contributions and the role model you have become for the youth of Charleston.
President Benson.
Fundamentally mindful. And tonight, Oatmeal Recipe Edition, we got Janet Carter talking about nutrition, Harry Cornell focusing on academics, and myself will be talking about skill development. Good job, Rod. Go, go. Good. Hey, back there over here. I want you here. I want you out here. Wait the next day. I want you here. All the time. Wait for the next spot to go. Let's go. Right now. Let's move it right now. Let's go. Move it up. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. The oatmeal recipe has 3 main ingredients that's vital to athletes' success: skill development, academics, and education. Hear all about it on DAE TV. In the Oatmeal Recipes edition, which includes skill development, nutrition, and education, the skill development component is brought to you by President Training Systems. In this edition, we'll talk about ball handling, the 3 different type of ways to dribble: between the legs, behind the back, crossover. The 2 type of ways to dribble: lowercase i's and lowercase v. In this segment, the 3 type of dribbles to use are between the legs, which requires a lowercase v, behind the back, which requires a lowercase v, and crossover, which requires a lowercase v. Okay? Capital I's, ball comes above your knees. It's considered a capital I. My body structure, my elbows are bent, and my knees are straight in the capital I. In the lowercase I, my elbows are straight and my knees are bent. This is the most effective way to make a dribble, especially going through the lane. Capital I. This is what? Lowercase. So tell me what changed my body structure first. Lowercase and capital. Check the body structure here. My knee is in a 90-degree angle. My hip is in an acute angle. Okay? Right angle dribbling is incorrect. Obtuse angle dribbling is incorrect. Have to be in the acute angle and be effective.
What is that? Okay, what's this then? So that would be the what? Right? Right? Right angle, right?
In our training approach, we try to put a lot of emphasis on developing the forearm while we're handling the ball. So different drills we use as far as single-handed, lowercase V's, left hand and right-handed, also double-handed V's, strengthen the core muscles up that's needed for a strenuous course of game like basketball. Training approach, we put cones down and try to demonstrate ways and maneuvers on how to sell the defense and work on different ways how to make the in and out dribble much more effective. Now what makes the in and out much more effective is me being an offensive player have to identify the midpoint between the defender and the offensive guy. The cone here indicates the midpoint where I'm trying to get my defender to commit to open up my space. Here he's in my space right now. He's in my avenue where I want to go. I can't go here because I go out of bounds, and I can't go there because I go into traffic. So the closest spot I get him to commit to is the cone. Once I get him there, the avenue that I need kind of opens up. And the most effective way to get that done is by the in and out dribble. As you see in the clip, my right foot is pointed to the cone where I want to go. I can't make the move laterally here. Alright, it's got to be a north, south, to the point. The toes pointing to the cone, which allows us to maneuver into the basket.
Initial eligibility rules for the class of 2016, and they've added a couple other things that didn't exist in the previous years. Now they have three actual groupings. They have the full qualified, which are kids that meets all NCAA standards on the sliding scale as far as GPA and test score. Then you have academic red shirt. An academic red shirt is a kid who meets one or the other. He meets the requirement on the sliding scale, but he's not eligible to compete. He may receive athletic aid, but he can't participate on the field that year. That following year, he has to have a 2.0 in the core and then 24 credit hours, and he'll be eligible to participate the following year, but he still will be able to receive athletic aid. A non-qualified is a kid that doesn't meet anything on the sliding scale. He doesn't have the 2.3, he doesn't have the 1080, he doesn't have the 2.0, he doesn't have the 1020 to be an academic red shirt, which means that this kid is a non-qualified, which means he's ineligible to participate at a Division I level. Division II, NCAA Division II rules remain consistent. With the minimum of a 2.0 and an 820 on the SAT, student athlete is still eligible to participate at the Division II level. There is no sliding scale at the Division II level. There's a mandatory minimum at the Division II level with GPA, grade point average, ACT, and SAT scores. At the Division III level, there is no initial eligibility rules because Division III, they don't offer athletic aid. There's 16 core classes that a student athlete must hold in a minimum grade point average of a 2.0 in these core classes. Now, in these 16 core classes may consist of 4 English, 3 math, 2 science, 2 social science, 2 natural science, 1 additional English, math, or science, and 3 other courses from any of the above areas. Now, these 16 core courses may come from the list of approved core courses that's submitted to the NC2A by your homeschool guidance counselor or administrator or liaison to the NC2A. Once these courses are submitted to the NC2A sends it back to the school and lets the school know what's being accepted by them and what's not being accepted by them. If your child's transcript and the list of approved core courses does not match, which means if your child takes a class that's not on the list of approved core courses, it cannot count towards his 16 core class.
Let's start with carbohydrates. I feel like carbohydrates get a bad reputation, but they are a very important nutrient for your body, especially when you want to perform at your best. Your body really needs to get its fuel from carbohydrates, but some carbohydrates are better than others, so let's talk a little bit more about that. Carbohydrates are anything that, foods that contain carbohydrates are anything that is a starch, it is also fruit, and it is also milk. But it's also going to be anything that contains sugar. So candy and other things like that also have carbohydrates. So as you can see, some carbohydrate foods are better for you than others. So it's very important to cut down on the ones that aren't so good for you in order to perform at your best. But that's not to say you can't occasionally have a treat now and then. It's just important to have the good whole foods. Protein is also important. A lot of people think that it's more important than the other nutrients, but it's not. It's just as important as everything else. And you need to have enough protein to make sure that you can perform at your best. So let's talk about foods that contain protein. This is going to be meats, like chicken, beef, eggs, peanut butter, nuts, beans. Those sorts of things contain protein. And when I talk about beans, I don't mean like green beans. I mean the bean called legumes, and that's going to be black beans, pinto beans, lima beans. Peanuts are actually also a legume; they're not a nut. So those are some of the types of foods that'll give you protein. So again, there are some protein sources that are better for you than others. Obviously, legumes and nuts and seeds, those are going to be a really good source of protein for you. Whereas you want to watch out for a lot of the high-fat meats like steak and bacon and those sorts of meats. So that is the protein category. Fat tends to get a bad reputation, but there are some fats that are actually pretty good for you, some fats that are terrible for you. So let's talk about the different kinds. Trans fats, saturated fats, and unsaturated fats. Those are the 3 main types of fats that are in the foods that you eat. And they all have a different effect on the inside of your body, such as your arteries and your blood vessels. So if you eat too much trans fat or too much saturated fat, it can start to build up and accumulate inside your blood vessels, and it could lead to heart disease, heart attack, stroke, those sorts of things. So of course you don't want those things to happen, but you do want to have enough fat in your diet in order to be able to have your body perform at its best. So let's talk about the sources of these types of fats. The trans fats are going to come from processed and prepared foods. So that could be something like a box of crackers or some fast food or something like that. It's not always going to be in everything that's processed or prepared, but you do have to look at the food labels to determine whether there is trans fat in the food or not. Then there's saturated fat. Saturated fat is not so great. It's not horrible like trans fat can be, but it's not so good either. So if you watch out for the saturated fats in your diet, that's going to be important as well. And food sources of saturated fats are going to be high-fat meats like steak, again, bacon, processed meats like bologna, salami, butter. Those are some sources of saturated fats. And then the unsaturated fats are actually very good for you. Those are heart protective. So those foods are going to be, again, nuts and seeds, mainly plant sources of fat. So avocado, olives, olive oil, corn oil, canola oil, margarine, tub margarines that are made from those types of oil. Those are some sources of unsaturated fat. The only source of unsaturated fat that is not a plant food is going to be fish. So if you like to eat fish, I say have it at least twice a week, and that's going to be a really great source of unsaturated fat and a good source of protein for you.
Smith. I go to Ashley Hall and I'm 11.
I'm Dave Leroy. I go to Academic Magnet High School and I'm 15.
Travis Smith, 22 years old from Mercer University.
AJ James, class of 2014, Portugal High School.
Dakar Anderson. I go to River Oaks Middle.
My name is Donnie Anderson. My son is Baptiste. Played basketball at Fort Dorchester and also did travel basketball with Jamil for years and YBOA.
Well, I'm Khalil Davis. I'm a freshman at University of South Carolina, Salkehatchie, and I graduated from Charleston Collegiate. I used to play AAU for Team Day.
My name is Zanari. I go to River Oaks Middle. Archery, I go to James Allen High.
Joe Weswick. My son Joseph played for Portugal, played for AAU teams.
Hey, how you doing? My name is Elton Brooks. I'm from Clewiston, Florida, and I'm now here in Charleston, South Carolina. 23 years old, and I'm just searching for a way to live my dream.
My name is Tiffany Maxwell, and I have a son, Christopher Maxwell, who has been participating in this program for like 9 months now.
Hey, this is Laura Jolliffe with InTown.com, keeping you in the know on where to go. It is so amazing to have this guest on today, Benjamin Toy, lead adventure consultant with On Purpose Adventures. If you have not heard about On Purpose Adventures, have we got a treat for you? Then tell us, what is On Purpose Adventures?
We believe the body craves adventure and the soul needs purpose, and we supply them both. So we are adventure event planners, so specializing in mother-in-law approved bachelorette parties, corporate team building events, and then signature events. And I'm here to talk about a couple of those signature events that we've got coming up, but we want to take care of all the details so people just can have fun and embrace adventure.
That's awesome, and that's one of the things, not only are you one of our clients, but then also a personal friend, and that's one of the things that I love best about you is that you just really embrace life and just take it by the horns and just you just suck every minute out of it.
Live on purpose is the slogan.
Exactly, and I think that's so important nowadays to just not to take the everyday and make it special. And one of my favorite events that you do every year, and you're the founder of, is the Run Dead Charleston 5K.
Run Dead 5K, this will be the third year, and it is a partnership between my On Purpose Adventures and the county parks system. And we are again at Wanamaker Park on Saturday, October 25th. And it is from 2 till 10 p.m. The race starts at 5. So it's a very unique race in the fact that it is an evening race. And there's zombie activities and kids activities. Paul Mitchell School is doing the makeup for the zombies. And this is a 5K that has runners do the 5K trail, and there's going to be 200 zombies in the course trying to pull the flags off of the flag football belts that they're wearing.
Awesome.
This year we are blessed to have title sponsors of HOCO of Charleston and First Class Planning and Restoration. InTown.com is sponsoring the costume contest. We're pretty excited about that. That was a lot of fun. We had Spider-Man zombies and little twin zombies and just fun stuff like that.
I mean, it's truly amazing what people come up with. The creativity is outstanding.
It's a blast. And we are, again, the benefactors of the Low Country Food Bank. So this is a food drive. We make light of trying to survive in a zombie apocalypse, but people in the Low Country are struggling to survive on a daily basis. So if you bring 5 canned goods, you get an extra health flag. And then if you register as a team, you can be a team. And actually, In Town has a team. So you register by calling the county park system at 843-795-4386 and use the In Town code, and you can get actually savings on your registration. And then make it your own food drive. You bring canned goods there, you get your extra health flag. But then you guys can compete by seeing which team brings the most canned goods. A lot of fun.
Amazing. And that's the thing that I love about it, is because you can register either as a zombie or as a runner, and then you can just go through and do this, and it's just, and at the end, and then it culminates, it's a big party, there's food trucks, and
Cinnabar has their big screen up, and we're playing the classic. We didn't go zombie theme this year for the movie. We went classic adventure, The Goonies.
Awesome.
How many people have actually seen The Goonies on the big screen? This is going to be an awesome night. On site, you don't have to go anywhere for the aftermath. You're just right there. We keep the lights off, and we're playing the movie. It's going to be phenomenal.
And this is a family-friendly event. And
we've actually we beefed up the kids area this year. There's going to be Nerf weapons of sorts and zombie targets that they get to shoot at in their kids area. It's going to be a whole lot of fun.
Big fun, big fun. So make sure the registration's open right now.
Yep.
So make sure you get signed up and get your team signed up, and make sure that you also, remember this is a drive for the Low Country Food Bank. So bring in your canned goods, and would love it to sign up under the In Town team. And
if you're going to be solo, rundead5k.com. You can see all the details at intown.com as well. But to call to be part of the In Town team, 795-4386. Use code INTOWN, and they'll save you $18 per registration as a runner.
Sweet.
But before that, we got the Whitewater trip.
Yes.
And this is the 4th annual end of summer. Except Labor Day does not have to be the end of summer.
Thank goodness.
It ends with the whitewater rafting trip that we have.
Well, so you can have white after Labor Day.
Absolutely.
Perfect.
Whitewater is a great thing. So 4th annual, we go out to the Kings Mountain State Park in South Carolina, go camping for 2 nights. And then we go to the Whitewater Center in Charlotte, which was originally the Olympic kayak training facility.
And I've been there, and it's fantastic.
It's an adrenaline junkies theme park. It's amazing. Challenge courses and all that. But you can check all the details for that at intown.com as well. There's a little code there to save some money for the end of summer. That is the weekend of September 26th through the 28th.
Right. And do I have to, okay, so obviously I may not have any sort of...
We provide everything.
Okay, yeah.
We take care of the tents, sleeping bags, provide 4 meals.
So just come ready for adventure.
You can come, we coordinate carpooling, caravanning, all the logistics. You pretty much show up, we tell you what clothes to bring basically.
Right.
And you have a blast.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Ben. And remember, on purpose adventures, live purposefully. Every day is an adventure. And you also do date planning as well. He's a jack of all trades. So we're really excited, and hopefully we'll see you at the Run Dead and the whitewater rafting.
Getting better. You know what that means? Huh? You know what process means? What's process mean? Right. So fall in love with the process of getting better. So just wait 19-year-old you missed. I'm laughing. I'm laughing at that. You know why? I got another chance of doing more reps to get better at that. Look at it like that. Not missing. I wish it was over with. No, I'm getting better. I know I missed. Okay, yeah, another chance to get better. Fall in love with it. Hold on. Tall shot. But again, we just talked about. Boy. Listen up. What's your parents' name? I gotta fall in love with the process of getting there.
We're here at DAE TV, Fundamentally Mindful, and today we got Tony Ciuffo, a good friend of mine. Spent 20 years at CFC as the Assistant Athletic Director. Tony, how you doing today?
Man, anytime I get to spend any time with you, I'm doing all right.
Good, good. Well, Tony, let's get right into it. Being a Wando grad, USC grad, tell us a little bit about Tony Ciuffo and the Wando years and your aspirations and wanting to be whatever you're wanting to be. And talk a little bit about that. Take us through the memory lane with Wando and USC.
Well, I went to Wando High School for 4 years, and back then I actually combed my hair. It was even back in the 80s, I parted it down the middle, and it was feather. So, can you imagine that?
Yeah, we need clips on that for us.
Yeah, it'd be hard to find some of those. But anyway, I enjoyed my 4 years at Wando. I certainly wasn't the top. People always said, "Where'd you rank in your class?" I said, probably closer to the bottom. I did the top, but I enjoyed it. Played a little football and baseball for 4 years, and then when I left Wando, I thought I could play baseball. And I went to a junior college up in Anderson, South Carolina, Anderson Junior College. And boy, I loved my 2 years at Anderson. But I realized real early on when I was there, Jamel, that I didn't have the ability to play at a higher level, meaning South Carolina or College of Charleston. Back then, CFC didn't have a team, but I knew it wasn't very good. And I loved broadcasting. And I was a pitcher, so I sat in the bullpen with my teammates at Anderson, and I would broadcast the games. And the guys loved it. And sometimes on the road trips, they'd ask me to get on the microphone. And anyway, it kind of led to me, I wanted to become a broadcaster. And South Carolina, I was a Gamecock fan. South Carolina has a journalism school of broadcasting. And in order to get into broadcasting school at Carolina, you have to interview.
Right.
And I remember the summer I had been accepted. I turned down a couple of baseball scholarships to further my bad career, even. And when I went in, the gentleman said, "Well, why do you want to become a broadcaster?" And it was Dr. Richard Uray, who has since passed on. And I said, "I want to become the next Bob Folt." He said, "Well, that will never happen."
So let's talk a little bit about, I said, Tony Ciuffo, and talk about the time where College of Charleston started. Being a senior at Burke High School in 1993-94, and watching the College of Charleston beat Wake Forest in the NCAA tournament, kind of turns a lot of heads at that time. Talk about the years when Marion Busby came in and Thaddeus Saline and those guys, Ken Ward. When was it when the College of Charleston really started to turn that corner and becoming a major team to be reckoned with?
Yeah, I think it was January 1993. The team had just made the transition to Division I, and weren't a full-time member yet. The Transamerica didn't have a league. We were in the Transamerica, but not playing the schedule. And I remember this like it was yesterday. It was early January. We had gone to Georgia State to play Georgia State and lost 60 to 50. We only scored 16 points in the second half and only scored 50 points for the game. We did not play well at all. This was Marion Busby's, I believe, freshman year, if I'm not mistaken. No, actually, it was his sophomore year. And the next weekend, we played at Georgia Tech. Now, Georgia Tech's last home game, they had knocked off undefeated Duke. So 1 week after scoring 50 points in a 10-point loss at Georgia State, we're back in Atlanta to play the Yellow Jackets, hoping before this trip really began, a month or so before, if they could find a way to get one win in that trip, those 2 trips, it would be successful. Of course, we know what happened. The Cougars went in and played number 8 Georgia Tech, led 34-31 at half, and outscored Georgia Tech. I think it was 50-36, I think it was in the second half, and I think that equals 84-67. But scored 50 points in the final 20 minutes, so they equaled the total 40-minute output they did a week before against Georgia State, and the game was really not that close. That got national attention. I think that allowed that, and that was before Thaddeus. Marion went off that night with 29 points. Rusty Palmer, Marcus Woods, 84-67 went home, and I remember Dick Vitale that weekend talking about Cougar basketball, and then there was Thaddeus Delaney came the next year, and I think because of that win, it opened so many doors. I even go back to kind of your recruitment, if you will,
everyone knew Jamel President. Everyone knew the talent level at which he played on at Burke High School. Quite honestly, I thought at a place like College of Charleston, you were beyond us. So I really never thought about or even dreamed about the possibility of you being a part of our guard duo. But as it turned out, things went our way. And you wanted to be a College of Charleston Cougar, and thank goodness you did. I think Marion Busby setting the tone, Thaddeus Delaney, Ken Ward transferring from UAB, yourself, and then the talent level just, as you know, it skyrocketed to the point where, quite honestly, you know this. Your last year at CFC, you had guys sitting on the bench that probably could have been all conference on other teams in our league.
In-and-out drill is a drill that's used, especially on the fast break, where you can get an offense rocker. So we're gonna do pound in and out, in and out, in and out, into pull-up jumpers. Is because it's like, you know, playing the PlayStation. It's almost like having the pads on your fingertips, getting that touch pads coming together. So when he's doing in and out and go right up into the shot, you know, it's almost like coming through the lane, dribbling, going up into the shot. So it works on the touch pads of the hands and sensory of the hands when you're dribbling.
He's one of the best chefs in Charleston's restaurant history. And now, Bob Waggoner is back with a cooking school. I had a chance to talk with him for a special edition of Quintus Close-Ups. Bob, you know, the last time I saw you was Friday afternoon. I was coming back from the United States Customs House, and I was walking down South Market, and I ran into you at State and South Market.
Yep.
And you look relaxed to me.
Very relaxed.
Yeah.
You got to be relaxed.
But
and I'm old. I think that's what it is.
Yeah, exactly.
You get relaxed when you get old. So that's not so bad.
But you're busy here.
I'm running around. I'm running around. Trying to open up my my cooking classes.
Tell me more about that.
I'm going to do 10 people a night. I've got 1,600 square feet of the sexiest sort of Ciuffo feeling. I just want a big kitchen. And I've got Wolf and Sub-Zero through Plug's appliance store that has helped me out. So I'm going to have crazy appliances. I've got really pretty cabinetry that's going to be in here from Charleston Fine Cabinetry. One of the gals, Christina, who's also does the design work for them, is helping me out with some of the color schemes and things. I was hoping I could afford 50 Shades of Gray, but I could only afford 3. So we went with 3. That's where we are now.
I want to piggyback to something you just mentioned. And I said, I heard this in the Charleston City paper quote. This is your quote. I'm done working with kids with no urgency and no passion. So let me ask you this. Has the restaurant business been resorted to that type of energy, atmosphere?
You know, it's just tough, man. And I'm pretty much through chefs. All of my friends are chefs, mostly because that's all I've done for 35 years. And you talk to the guys now, and Edwin French was in here yesterday. I was in here fiddling around doing something. Edwin French, he's opened up Americano. Was one of my line cooks, you know, 10 years ago at the Charleston Grill. Jason Hauser has Meat House, and the Margan is helping out another restaurant here in town, the Tattooed Moose. One of my gals is at the Kelly James, I believe her name is at Rarebit, and just these were cooks that would come in early because they knew I was breaking down a fish or something like that, or they would go, Chef, I know your friend's the guy who has Macaroon Bakery. Is there any way you could call him and, you know, can I go over there and work on Sunday?
Yeah.
Those guys are gone.
You said this quote, you will cook and laugh alongside him, meeting you, to prepare and enjoy a seasonal tasting menu inspired by the many farmers, fishermen, and artisans of the low country. Put on your memory hat and tell me, where did the vision of a cooking school come from?
You know, it's really, I was in Nashville for the last couple of years, mostly because of my dad, who's 83 and wasn't doing too well, and I could go there for a couple of weeks, keep an eye on him, come back. I brought him back with me. Okay. He's living with me now. Now I can really keep an eye on him because he just, you know, it just gets tough. You get old and you got to watch, make sure he's eating, and get him to the doctor back and forth and stuff. So that's a really good thing that he's here and I can keep an eye on him. And more than anything, I really just wanted to, the fun part of the restaurant business is when you're done serving everyone, and you go out in the dining room and talk with people and say, oh my gosh, that was really fun. Or I'm going to Memphis. Hey, you got to go see my buddy. Hold on, let me jot down. Where are you going after that? Oh, we're going to Chicago. Let me jot down and get to that. And people have a good, people want to meet the chefs, people want to enjoy, people want to talk to other people, and that's the fun part. And once you know, and people want to learn how to cook.
About this throughout the interview so far, but let's talk about your 35 years in the restaurant business. And I know you love motorcycles.
Oh yeah.
So tell me, what has the ride been like in the food business?
You know, starting out, I went to France. I was originally from San Fernando Valley, Valley Boy. Most people don't even know who those are anymore.
Right.
And I started out in a small restaurant with the gentleman I was telling you about who passed away. He took me under his wing. I didn't know how to do anything. I didn't know the difference between rare and medium well. Right. I didn't even know what that meant.
Right.
You know, I grew up in a very middle-class family where we drank milk for dinner, and you know, my mom would overcook canned green beans. You know, and pork chop where it would almost curl up. You could almost put the sauce in, in the thing because it was just, you know, God knows one of my kids is getting trick noses. We better cook it for another half an hour. You know, you put the turkey in the oven and thing pops up, and we better leave it for another 45 minutes just to be safe. So I grew up in dry food, you know, but we all sat down as a family and ate dinner every night too. And from there that chef came and got me. He said, you got to come to Hollywood. We worked in Hollywood together for 3 years. That chef saw the spark in me that I wanted to go to other places that he knew and work for free just to learn different things. And he found me a job in France, and I went thinking I'd spend a year and worked 4 years for free, and ended up coming back 11 years later with a French wife and a daughter born in Burgundy. So, yeah, my 2 souvenirs.
Yes,
didn't even bring back an Eiffel Tower. I just had a thing to tell it was. So.
Well, we know.
And then back in the States, I was at Turnberry Isle in Florida for probably 8 months. Hated that. It wasn't my cup of tea at all. Big resort. And wasn't my thing. Went to the Wild Boar in Nashville for, gosh, I was there for 3 years. The owner passed away, and then Charleston Place was looking to grab somebody because their chef was leaving, and they wanted to put somebody in, and brought me in. I brought my sous chef with me, Michelle, who's still running the show over there and tearing it up. And was there for 11 years, and then started my TV show, You Cook with Chef Bob, travel show, You Travel with Chef Bob, and then went to Nashville, started another show called Sing for Your Supper with Bob Waggoner that we shot on the stage of the Ryman with country music singers, and just had a blast. And then now just, you know what, I want to be home, I want to be here, and best place is where else is better than Charleston, South Carolina, and enjoy the water, enjoy my family, and more than anything, friends.
Describe your future to me in one word.
Fun.
Okay, all right. And you always having fun, man.
That's it. I just want to just laugh and teach people how to cook and have a good time.
Start off really good. You have to get in the process to start being good.
Good, but don't use the word to explain it, define the word, but to make me kind of sharpen up for you guys. Like left hand, like everybody was fine going to right hand. I'm going left hand with everybody's weak side. The energy just went down because you got to be able to accept failure and have failure through success. You got to have failure through success. So you got to fall in love with the process of missing left hand layups, of missing 5 shots in a row. You gotta fall in love with that because each time you miss is an adjustment to get better. You see what I'm saying? But if you don't fall in love with the process of getting better, you're not gonna get better because you're not gonna be able to accept the failures and the hard times that come with it. It's Super Bowl Sunday. Most kids that play this game at home getting ready for Super Bowl. Y'all here working on your games. So you gotta fall in love with the process of getting better. That makes sense? So you gotta be accepting failures. Accepting failures means that I'm going into this left hand layup like it's a right hand layup, like I already made 10 in a row already. I'm not going in like this That's how you go in. That's how you miss shots. You got it. Let's go.
We're here at DAE TV and Fundamentally Mindful. We have BJ McKie today. BJ, thanks for being on set today, big guy.
I appreciate you having me, man.
Not a problem. We'll get right into it. BJ, as I read a little bit on you, you're from Virginia. What brought you to Columbia, South Carolina?
Well, my parents brought me to Columbia, South Carolina. You know, everybody always thinks I was born and raised in Columbia, Irmo area, but I was born in Norfolk, Virginia. My mom grew up there her whole life, went to Morgan State, and my dad actually met her in Norfolk, and he went to Norfolk State. But my dad is originally from Columbia, and I moved back to Columbia when I was 2 years old. So
okay,
I'm from Columbia.
You're native. You're native. Yeah. So talk about that 2-year-old kid in Columbia and your dream and aspirations of playing Division I ball. Take us through that aspect of your life. How that transpired.
Man, I played everything. I went from karate, soccer, football. You know, I just fell in love with the game of basketball. I've been playing basketball since I was about 4 years old. And I remember going to my dad, and I remember I saw Jeff McKinnis on a magazine. I think I told Jeff this a long time ago. And he was a top 25 player, and I told my dad, I want to be one of those guys. You know, this is probably when I was in middle school. And my dad said, you can be. And I was just like, really? You know? And he said, look, I'm going to make a deal with you. I'm going to show you how to go about doing it. I'm not necessarily saying it's going to always be easy, but if that's what you want to do, that's what we're going to push forward to doing. And it's something that we collectively, my mom, dad, and I set out to do.
Let's move to, USC. Here now, you got a scholarship. Tell us about, who were recruiting you at that time, and why did you decide to choose USC? Had a good friend that played with you in Melvin Watson. Talk about that, and talk a little about the College Charleston USC game.
I was a McDonald's All-American coming out of high school, and my final 5 picks were, because I was a family-oriented type person, I pretty much wanted to stay within the Southeast. So my final 5 were Tennessee, Florida, South Carolina, of course, Clemson, and Virginia.
Wow.
And they eliminated themselves, just with somebody else coming in and taking that slot. But I mean, to me, it was South Carolina pretty much from the very beginning. When Coach Fogler saw me play, I fell in love with their staff. I knew what we had coming in because I played AAU with some of the guys like Will and Bud Johnson, and I knew what we had in there. Nate Wilburn, a transfer from Ohio State, Larry Davis, North Carolina, transfer, and of course Mel, very highly touted from prep school, and I knew Mel from playing at Burke here. I felt like we could do something special just at home, so why go somewhere else when I could stay at home?
The student athlete process. You played locally, in high school, played collegiately in the same city, played professionally. Now you're coaching in the state. So talk about the overseas experience and then the transition to coaching.
I even take it a little bit a step further, Mel. After I finished college, everybody knows the situation. People were talking about me leaving as a junior. I didn't leave, and then I wasn't drafted, and then I played in the CBA for a couple of years, and then the Argowood D League that was here, the team that was here. And man, after I didn't get drafted, I was really hurt.
Right.
Really hurt. Still really determined, but really down, because that was my dream. Anybody would be crushed, but it's also about what we talked about, perseverance. I could have just
you know, quit playing basketball and got a regular job. But I said that this is something I wanted to do, and I played in the CBA and the NBDL for 3 years, and the money's not like it is overseas. So I went overseas, and I really learned a lot about myself, traveling different areas, speaking different languages, and had to speak different languages in certain situations where I was because they didn't know English, and really learning my way around in different cultures and different ethnicities of the world.
And just talk about the academic and the nutrition side of it and how important it is for that.
From a nutrition standpoint, I mean, I think you are what you eat. Your body is only going to take what you put in it. You know, I think it's good to eat 3-4 meals a day. You have to get up, you got to have breakfast. I mean, that gets you started. It gets you started. I think which all of us in here have probably always done it. Don't even worry about breakfast sometimes. You got to get up and you got to go. You know, but that gets you jump started. I mean, your body is like a vehicle. You don't put any fuel in it, it ain't going nowhere. Or we always during the middle of the day, we haven't eaten anything, or might have got a bagel and that was it. And like, man, I'm so exhausted. That's why you're exhausted. So nutrition, and that's a good thing to have in your ingredient. That does play a big factor in your daily process, the way you operate, the way you work, and just your discipline as far as being in your academics.
Now, from the Lowcountry's news leader, your sports report on Live 5 News.
Good evening, everyone. Andy Pruitt with you. There is a new movement in the local basketball community thanks to College of Charleston Athletic Hall of Famer Jermel President. It's called the Oatmeal Recipe. The goal? Improve the chances of kids in our area playing at higher levels of the sport by making sure they are well-rounded.
Follow the person in front of you. Do what the person in front of you does. Most athletes' metabolism is so fast, right? We burn it off so fast. So what the oatmeal does is kind of give that metabolism something to eat on.
And Jermel President believes athletes need more to eat on than just talent. The former Burke standout says so many low-country basketball players from poor neighborhoods aren't receiving the training in fundamentals, academics, and nutrition. The Oatmeal Recipe is a program to help change that.
Through the years, I've seen so many talent come through this community, this area, that don't get placed because of one or two reasons: skill development or academics. Coming from Burke High School, I didn't, qualify for the SAT, and so I couldn't really go into a scholarship coming to high school because I wasn't academically ready.
Starting in January, President and his group will take 50 kids ages 7 through 12 from around the area and build into them throughout the year. 2 practices a week plus help in education. The plan is to continue to work with them as they grow older and become prospects in high school.
If a kid is being developed prior to or during a school year, a kid will be better, more players will be better, a team will win more, and it's a domino effect.
Another local basketball celebrity is on board. Big-time college referee Teddy Valentine. He sees the need for the oatmeal recipe if the sport is going to grow in our area like football and baseball.
We're a firm believer that if they want to play, they'll stay within it. If they don't want to play, then they won't follow the instructions of what is being put out there for them as far as their discipline, their behavior. This is a 24/7 deal.
President is also getting a lot of help from the North Charleston Recreation Department, which will send about 1/3 of the kids that make up the first batch for the oatmeal recipe.
I think if we get to the children early enough, not only is Jermel President such a tremendous positive mentor, he knows the game and he breaks it down and simplifies it for them.
Learn how to dribble.
Despite all of this support, President is still working on convincing local high school and college coaches why they should be a part of this. And there's work to do with the parents as well.
If we're just saying information that you guys need to have that's be much more effective for as a student athlete. So my biggest challenge is, I think, is the community and parents opening up and being more receptive to what the oatmeal recipe is all about. We'd like to thank all our guests for being involved, coming and taking time out to spend with DAE TV. We'll see you next week.